everyone, today I'm going to show you the styles that I did for the week on my 3 daughters with 3 different curl types. This week I decided to do some form of a bubble braid on everyone except my youngest daughter, who you'll see has a parted hairstyle with twists. This is my daughter Kaya. She has about 3 A, 3B curls, and so I did one bubble braid going down with some cornrows at the top that are a week old. On my oldest daughter Naomi, I just did bubble braids and a half up style. And on my youngest daughter Zaria, who's 2, I did some parted sections into twists. So to see start to finish on all of them, keep watching. So my oldest daughter Naomi has 3C to 4A tight curls. We stretched it out overnight after we washed it, and then this morning the first part of this footage got deleted on accident, but I just put it half up, and then in the back I'm sectioning off about 2 to 3 inch triangular pieces, not making sure that the parts are super straight because you're not going to see them anyway. Then I'll put some bed head after party smoothing cream throughout that section, and then I brush it through and start putting in the rubber bands. So the rubber bands are a nice latex type of rubber band. They don't stick in the hair, pull it, or anything like that, and they don't pop very easily. So I'm putting them about 2 inches apart from each other. So for her hair length, I'm using about 4 per strand. Prepping Naomi's hair is very important in order to get this style looking nice. So because her hair is so curly, I had to stretch it out beforehand. You can either blow dry it straight, or like I did the night before after you wash her hair, which the link to the wash day video is right up above. After you wash the hair, you can put it in 6 different sections and just braid it, just plait it, not cornrow it, just plait it, and then let her sleep on that, let it dry totally. And then once they're fully dry, you should be able to do this style a little bit more easily. Now she was sweating the night before during her sleep, and so the ends kind of were up near her forehead. I don't know how that happened, but it was the way she put on her bonnet, and so they got a tad bit curly again, but nowhere near as tightly as her curls are naturally. So again, I'm just doing these triangular sections about 2 to 3 inches, I would say more 3 inches, all over her head, applying the smoothing cream, brushing that through, and then putting on the rubber bands with about 2 inches of hair in between each. Also, you'll notice that the ends are a bit frayed and frizzy right now, but after I pulled apart the hair in each rubber band section to make it more of a bubble shape, then the ends will come up a little bit, and then the rest of the hair that's out at the end, I'll twirl around my finger with the smoothing cream and it'll look nice and neat. And now to create the bubble look, you'll just want to start by gently pulling apart the hair in each rubber band section until it's shaped like a bubble. You'll pull the hair strands apart to your liking, so if you want bigger bubbles, you'll pull a little bit wider. Smaller bubbles don't pull as much. I do pull apart the root. You don't have to. If you would like the roots to lay a little flatter than I like them, then you just leave that section alone and then start with the second section down. But I like the roots to have a little bit more volume, and so I do pull apart that section as well. If you don't want to pull it apart, you do want those roots to lay flatter, then make sure that your parts are nice and neat before you do that. And see, I was talking about the ends. Once I have my bubbles completed, I'll just twirl those end sections around my finger with the smoothing cream to make them nice and neat. And this is the final look for her half up, half down bubble braid style. I did put a bow in the front, and each day we'll usually switch out the bow to match whatever outfit she's wearing. And instead of doing rainbow rubber bands like I did, you can do all one color, just 2 colors, whatever you want to do. So you can switch this up in many different ways. Instead of doing half up, half down, you could do all down or more half up, whatever you want. This style is very versatile. And now for my middle daughter Kaya, who's 4 years old, her hair didn't have time to be washed. We had friends coming over, so I'm just going to quickly refresh her style. She had 4 cornrow braids up, and then the rest of it was all just down and curly. So what I did was brush it all out. I put those 4 cornrows into one section, making a ponytail, and now I'm just going to split the hair into another 3 to 4 sections to make one big bubble braid in the back, almost like a French braid, but it'll just be a bubble braid. I'm sectioning off this front section downwards so that when I pull the hair, it will be pulled away from the braids, because I don't want the hair to be pulled up and back because it will cover that end braid there. So I'm going to brush the hair downwards and then pull that into the most bottom section. Now the only product I'm going to be using is water. plus this toothbrush to slick it all back, and the gel that I'm using on her hair is the Innersense I Create Hold Gel. I don't always use this gel for styling. I usually normally for wash and goes to create those nice curls, but I'm using it for styling as well today. Sometimes I do use the Eco Styler gel. It holds the edges down so well and it holds the hair back nice and strong, but I have the Innersense I Create Hold Gel that I'm using for this style today. So as you can see, I have the very top section secured in one ponytail. This is the second section I'm securing into the second ponytail. The front sides of her hair near her hairline are going to be secured down in the third ponytail, and then the bottom layer is the fourth section. So I'm going to put the gel and make sure that the ponytails are tight so that this is a slick, sleek, smooth style. Now she does mess these up at daycare. I don't know what she does there all day, but anyone with kids knows that when they come home from school or daycare, they're outside playing, they're sleeping on their mat, and they just get it messed up. So each morning I just kind of slick it back down again, but it doesn't take long. Each morning when I refresh it, it takes less than 10 minutes, so it's not very long at all. So now all the sections are secured into these 4 ponytails. I'm just going to brush through the hair to make sure that it's smooth before I put it in the bubble braids. Now for the bubble braids, if you use another ponytail to secure it, there will be too much bulkiness there. So I'm just going to use the small black rubber bands that I have, and I'm just going to tie the rubber band around 2 or 3 times in each section. So here I'll put it as close to the second ponytail as possible, and then I'll spread it apart into this bubble braid shape. I had to pause that for a bit because this footage stopped halfway through filming because of a battery issue, and I didn't have a new one charged right away, so I'm showing you now from footage from my phone when it was all finished. But if you saw the earlier part of me doing Naomi's bubble braids, I did this one the exact same way. I just secured each ponytail section into the rubber band and then created that bubble shape by gently pulling the hair apart. Now when you do this, try to do it as evenly as possible to make sure that they all looked the same size. And then once you're finished securing the rubber bands around the ponytail sections, then you'll go put the rubber bands down the rest of the hair that's remaining and do the same thing that I did to Naomi's hair by gently pulling apart those sections. At the end of the bubble braid, if you need to smooth out that hair, then put some smoothing cream on your finger and twirl your hair around your finger until it forms a nice little curl. And this can be done in a number of ways. You can put bows in between each section, you can put colorful rubber bands, pretty clips, or dress it up however you want. You don't have to do the braids at the top. Those, like I said, were a style from last week that I just kept in, so they're not the neatest right now, but they're still good for another week, so I'm going to keep them in. And the last baby I have to do hair on today is my youngest daughter, Zaria, who's 2 years old. I'm not doing bubble braids on her simply because she has a habit of playing with her hair, and she always pulls the bubbles out and twirls them around her finger. So I'm going to do this sectioned off style that I'm going to make into a twist. Her hair is freshly washed and conditioned and still wet. It doesn't have to be dry to start this. And so this first section, I'm putting Uncle Funky's Curl Magic Curl Stimulator throughout the hair. I'm going to comb that through to evenly distribute it and then smooth it all out. And then while I'm holding the hair tightly, I'm going to add the gel. So I'm using the Innersense I Create Hold Gel, smoothing that over the hair with my fingers, and then I'll take a comb and do the same thing that I did before. Brush it through to evenly distribute it and make sure that there are no knots, make sure that it's smooth. And then I'm going to secure that section with a black rubber band. Now you can dip these rubber bands in hair oil if you want, just if you want a style to last and you don't want the rubber band to grip or pull the hair at all, then that's an option for you. And then you just continue doing this section by section. You'll part the hair and complete the same steps that I just did in each section. Now I didn't get to film her hair from the second I started it, so after I washed and conditioned it, I spread it into 2 sections as if I was doing pigtails by making that one big part down the middle. And then each side of that part is going to have these 4 smaller rectangular sections. So you want to make sure that your parts are nice and clean. Sometimes I'll use Shine and Jam on the parts to get them really crisp, but I didn't today because I was just trying to get through this as fast as possible and it still turned out just fine. Once you've sectioned off all the hair, make sure that the hair is smooth before you start to twist. Start with the first section, split the hair into two, and then just start twisting. When you're doing these types of twists, it's important that you turn the hair as you're twisting it. If you don't know what I mean, please watch this video linked above with my daughter Naomi's passion twists. And then once you get to the second section, you'll grab the hair, split it into two, and incorporate that section into your twist, and keep doing that all the way down. Depending on the hair type, you may or may not need a rubber band to secure the twist at the end of it. For my oldest daughter Naomi's hair, who has very tight curls, I never need one. For Zaria and Kaya's hair with looser curls, I always need one. And now the style is all finished, however it's still wet, so optional to you whether or not you want to let it air dry or you want to put them under a hooded dryer. I happened to let her air dry the next day. It was totally dry and her puffs were a bit juicier because they fluffed up nicely without frizzing at all. So some of those open spaces or little gaps got totally filled in once the hair was dry. You can dress it up however you want. I put bows in the front for her, and we kept it like this for the first 4 days and then took the twist out because they were starting to get a little bit messy and she wouldn't let me redo them. So then we took the twist out and kept it like that for the next 2 days. These are what they would look like if it were bubbles instead. Let me know your favorite style in the comments below, and be sure to like and subscribe and stay tuned for a new video next week.